taste of home. Food as love language. Hey guys, if you're here, I'm just gonna assume that you love food. So I just gonna say, same. Anyways, thank you for joining me today as I talk about food, how it's considered a love language, and how that concept is incorporated in games and pop culture. Also, please excuse me, I'm not that good at talking in general, so I will instead communicate in memes. But before I start talking about food and how it took over my career, I am going to talk a little bit about myself, for context. So, yes, hi, I'm Trina. I'm known as Ichiko online. That's me on the left, but with a Z axis. I am from the Philippines, and I'm the lead game artist for indie studios Meowfia and Chikun Club. I love making games, especially if it's about food, obviously. I love sleeping, I love eating, and I love reading shoujo manga. How did I get into games? So here's my origin story, told with angst. I wanted to make games when I was in high school, so I had to look for people who wanted the same thing. Around back in 2014, pixel games were all over the internet, so I was really inspired by games like Ib, The Witch's House, and To the Moon. And because I didn't have friends who liked making games, I got random people to work with me. And take note that I did not force them. I even paid for the full price of RPG Maker with my lunch money. So time passed, and I think they got bored or something, because for whatever reason, they just started ghosting me. But then again, I guess I can't blame them, because I was really that type of person who would
unironically do the narrator run randomly.
in the hallways. Oh my god, so cringy. Cringy. I held so much grudge and angst for the longest time, but that was the key to making me work really hard to socialize with game dev people in college, even though I'm 100% an introvert. At first, I was a multimedia arts student when I was a freshman in college, but then I shifted to game dev because I was jealous of my game dev friends and because I really wanted to make games. And graphic design isn't my passion. My first impression of game dev people was that they communicated in memes, which is probably why I turned out like this degenerate right here. It was a whole different planet, but I meant that in the best way possible. Like, it was really diverse, and there were people who would unironically scream, "Ree!" and constantly reference JoJo lines. If any of my friends are listening to this, hi, you know, you guys know who you are. Which led to my first global game jam experience where there was no air conditioning at night, and we live in a country where it's generally 30 degrees Celsius all the time, if not hotter. So, yeah, you get what I mean. And there was no shower. So, the people who really wanted to freshen up had to use the sink or the bidet to wash their hair. Needless to say, the place was really humid and smelled of Hainanese chicken and sweaty men, and the venue never volunteered to be a game jam site ever again. Nevertheless, though, it was still one of the best experiences because it was the first ever time that I made a complete game, finally. And 4 years later, I learned and experienced a lot of stuff in this tight-knit community, and that's why I'm here now to talk about games. Now, let's talk about food. So, why am I passionate about food and games? Being from the Philippines meant that food is the heart of our culture. So, from weddings, funerals, birthdays, there would always be this long table stuffed to the brim with food. Growing up in the rural parts meant that I was more exposed to the various ways of preparing food, like cooking bibingka, which are rice cakes, uh, and we would typically cook them in this makeshift charcoal oven. Here, as you can see, are just some of the really popular Filipino dishes. First one, sinigang, which is this salty and really sour soup. And it's typically made with pork or beef, shrimp, fish, chicken, and mixed with all sorts of vegetables. We have lumpia, which is the staple for every Filipino potluck, and it's just really the Filipino version of fried spring rolls. We also have pancit, which is stir fried noodles, and people believe that you should eat pancit on your birthdays because that would mean you would have a longer life. Because long noodles. A huge reason why I love food is because it's a surefire way to make me feel better when I'm feeling down, which I'm sure also goes for most of you guys. Hello, fellow stress eaters! Food has the power to warm us physically and emotionally. Think about those times you shared a meal with someone close to you. Even though food is good in general, it tastes even better when you share it with someone. Or maybe look back at those times you feel alone, maybe during a storm or a bad day. Sometimes just getting yourself a mug of hot cocoa, the ones with those tiny marshmallows, and then curling up in front of the TV will make you feel like everything will be okay. Food's powerful. It's personal. And no one dish will taste the same when cooked by different people. For me, it's a mystery why moms and grandmas are always so good at cooking. I mean, even though I try to cook exactly the way they would do it, I never quite get the same taste. They do say love is a secret ingredient when it comes to cooking, and maybe that's why they taste so different. Because we have different ways of loving those who are important to us. So, how exactly do you meld together food and heart? Well, look at these examples. They somehow make food look 10 times more amazing, if not more. And the textures, the sounds, the art direction of it all, so meticulously done that you could almost taste the food. Heck, even that scene in Ratatouille where Remy ate both the strawberry and the cheese at the same time. If you think about it, it's not really something you'd crave for, but the art direction made it seem so good. I don't even need to explain the food in Final Fantasy 15. That's just insane. Absolutely insane. The devs are practically gods. Of course, there's Ghibli, especially the scene in Spirited Away. I don't think anybody even knows what that thing is, but we want it. So, how do you make food look appealing? First, the attention to detail. The bright and inviting colors, all saturated of course, because dullness wouldn't make the food look less appetizing. Look at how the ingredients move together. Look at those noodles. You can practically taste it and feel it because the art gives you so much sensory information. The shine. No, seriously, the shine is like the finishing touch, the cherry on top. If you're ever in doubt, add shine. I can't stress this enough. Add shine. Lastly, it's all about how the characters enjoy the food they're eating. These games are prime examples which teach us that food can be a bridge between people. Imagine Happy Cooking is a cooking simulation game for the Nintendo DS, where you do a series of mini-games to complete a dish. It's unique in that there's a story mode, and you actually cook for the people you care for. I found myself being motivated by the fact that my friends and my family in the game would taste my cooking, so I did every step carefully to make the dish turn out great. Hungry Heart's Diner is an idle game where you don't do much actual cooking, but there's a whole lot of heart. It was really endearing to see strangers become friends of mine as they continue to eat the food I make while they share their stories. Finally, I'm gonna talk about the games that I've made. First off is Lutong Bahay, which means home cooking. We initially came up with a concept during Game Jam 2019, where the theme was what home means to you. Like I mentioned before, since food is the center point of Filipino culture, we decided to make a small cooking game. And we later expanded the idea by turning it into our thesis game, Taste of Home. It's a really shameful game because we never really finished it. But, well, Lutong Bahay walked, so Taste of Home could run. I'd like to think we all improved since then. And since we just finished our first game, Turtle Tail, which is not food, turtles aren't food, we were really burnt out because we worked on that game for like 6 months. And we had to start on our next game as soon as possible because we only had around a few weeks of pre-prod before we had to start production immediately, because there is like a time frame of 2 to 3 months to make a game per term, which is really hard. So we just wanted to expand on our Global Game Jam game because we really didn't have the brain cells to think anymore. And so Taste of Home was born. The premise of the game is basically just you play as this aspiring cook who wants to inherit her grandma's food place. We call it Carinderia here. It's not quite a restaurant because it's anything but fancy. People eat there when they want cheap, normal, home-cooked meals. The thing is, our main character needs to go all around the Philippines to learn how to prepare authentic food like the masters. So, things didn't go so well on the first try, but eventually we did pass pre-screening the next term. And so after that, I tweeted about it because I was so happy we passed. And the tweet became really viral and it reached so many people. So I wondered why. I realized it was because we lacked representation in video games as Filipinos. I got a lot of replies from people saying that it was a dream come true for them to see something like our game, to see the food and the culture they grew up with in the form of a game. We were really underrepresented in that way. So I guess when people saw my tweet, they were like, hey, I know that place, or hey, that's kinda like me, you know? Now on to the next game, Putahe ng Ina Mo, which means mom's dishes, or mom's food, or mom's home cooking. The title also sounds like a really bad curse word here in the Philippines, so Please be careful when you pronounce it. So, to introduce to you the women of Chicken Club, we have on the leftmost our mother penguin, or you may know her as Gwen Foster. She insists that I tell everybody that she's the tallest person in Chicken Club. And then next to her is me, the middlest chicken over there, the artist. And then rightmost is our audio designer, Gia, the one responsible for making the shouty ingredient sounds. So this game is also inspired by The Right Mix. It's this really popular Y8 game back in the 2010s where all you have to do is mix different alcohols together to make a good cocktail, or else the bartender will react badly. Our rule at Chicon Club is that we won't tell players how much ingredients to use, in what order to put them, and how long to boil. And it's really funny because we just got this comment on Twitter saying that our game is like the Dark Souls of cooking games. And because these are very hard times, we made a game that can make people laugh and lift their hearts even for just a short while. So we made the game as funny as we could. And we're really glad to see that people have been enjoying the game and that they've been laughing at it, especially the sounds. And Gia did a great job at the sounds because it's what really completed the game and what made the game viral as well. The whole livestream UI actually serves a purpose. Your quote-unquote audience can see you mess up, so they just roast you and tell you things like, it's bland like your love life, or just go wash the dishes, or I didn't know soup could burn. So if you're ever wondering what it is that the ingredients are shouting when they're getting picked up, it's their names. So when you pick up a tomato, it says tomato in Filipino. So yeah, overall, we're just really happy that people absolutely loved the teaser we released. It was great to see that we were able to make them laugh during these times where it's so easy to feel alone. Finally, we reach the end of my talk, and in conclusion, number 1, food is a love language.
この香りはさ、召し上がれ。お姉ちゃんたらケーキで釣るなんてずるいよ。登場するにもお腹が空いてちゃ持たないよ。とにかくイチゴタルト食べようよ。ペコペコなんでしょ。気持ちいい風。そこに座って食べよう。うん。 してこんなとこに連れてきたの？夏目には話したことなかったけど、小学3年生の時、今の夏目と同じようにピアノやめるって宣言してママに叱られてさ、ここで泣いたんだよね。そういえばそんなことあった気がする。さ、食べよ。おいしい。これ本当にお姉ちゃんが作ったの？そうだよ。でもおばあちゃんのいちごタルトに比べたらまだまだだけどね。そんなことないよ。とっても美味しいよ。それは夏目がお腹空いてたからよ。おばあちゃんのいちごタルトはすごいんだから。一口食べただけで笑顔になって、とっても幸せな気分になれた。私もちょっと幸せになったよ。ちょっとだけでしょ？ごめん。美味しかった。よかったらこれも食べて。いいの？ありがとう。前から聞こうと思ってたんだけど、お姉ちゃんなんでピアノやめちゃったの？それはね、夏目も弾く。
今お姉ちゃんがお稽古してるでしょ。邪魔しちゃダメよ。
夏目も弾きたい。弾きたいよ。ママ、夏目にも教えてあげて。初めのうちは私の方がうまかったけど、
とってもよかったわ、夏目。今日でバイエルは卒業ね。
ママがピアノ教室を開いた頃には夏目の方が全然上手くなっちゃってて、ピアノが全然面白くなくなっちゃったんだよね。私が原因だったんだ。違う。全部私のせいだよ。努力もしないでママに怒られてばっかりだったからさ。それに引き換え、夏目は本当に楽しそうに弾いてた。ピアノをやめた後ね、ママに期待されてる夏目が羨ましかった。だから、私にも何か才能があるんじゃないかなってパパに絵を習ってみたけど、3日で挫折。水泳、バレエ、全然ダメでさ。その度におばあちゃんのいちごタルトに励まされて、ひょっとしたら私もパティシエールになれるかもって淡い期待を抱いたんだけど。
When you want to make yourself feel better, you eat food. And when someone close to you wants to make you feel better, they give you food. And moms and grandmas, or maybe even dads, do this well because when they cook you food, it's like they're saying, here, eat up. You have to nourish your body. You have to grow up well. So that's how they express their love. But how do you show in games that food is a love language? Hungry Hearts Diner and Imagine Happy Cooking does this very well, that their mechanics focus on making food and then expressing your love or your care by giving your dish to that one person who needs it. Remember that food is powerful and we can use it in these trying times to forge our bonds with other people, because it's really hard to go through these times alone. We can amplify positive feelings of warmth and belonging with food. Think about your previous experiences with having food as a love language, and you can use it to make others, especially those who don't have anyone, you can use your skills to make even strangers happy. Yay! So that's all for my talk. I hope at least one person learned something from this. If not, then I hope my memes made up for it in entertainment value. Before I end my talk, I'd like to thank Mother Penguin for telling me to step out of my comfort zone and apply for this talk. I hope I did somewhat okay. Also, thanks to everyone at Synthesis Workshop, especially to Philbert, because the art knowledge I got from him was the foundation for this talk. And thanks to everyone for listening. If you were here from start to finish, you the bomb. Lastly, if anyone has questions or comments, you can reach me via my Twitter at Ichiko. See you guys!